She showed him kindness as a stranger. He returned as a CEO with a life-changing surprise. The dirty windows of the Daily Grind Café were battered by the rain, which caused the cityscape of Chicago to seem as if it were painted with watercolor. Maya, who had worked a double shift, was inside wiping down the tables and her joints were hurting. When her mother became sick, her hopes of attending art school were ultimately dashed by the burden of medical expenses. In the present moment, she was serving pricey lattes to strangers while concealing her sketchbook behind the counter as if it were a hidden shame. He was a haggard figure in a ripped coat, shivering furiously, and he staggered in at the last possible moment, which was the closing time. He had a face covered in mud, and his eyes were sunken with despair. A number of customers fled, but Maya was able to look beyond the filth. Her thoughts turned to human eyes, human, yet with a haunting. "Yes, sir? Are you feeling okay?" she said in a low voice. He jerked his head, anticipating ridicule. Maya, on the other hand, maneuvered a piping hot cup of chamomile tea and her last piece of lemon cake across the counter surface. "On the house," she said with a grin. Solidarity, not pity, is this. She herself had been one paycheck away from becoming homeless until she missed it. She saw his hands as he devoured his food with a frenzied appetite. His fingers were long and coated with ink, and they were shaking for reasons other than the cold. Hands of an artist, she came to comprehend. She ripped a page out of her sketchbook on the spur of the moment. When she handed him a short drawing of a sun bursting through storm clouds, she murmured, "For the road." She was positive about the future. As he peered at it, he then turned his attention to her, and his eyes welled up with unsaid tears. The artwork was like a lifeline to him as he walked away without uttering a single word. At the end of 10 years, Maya's world had become even more limited. There was no longer a cafe. In its stead was a streamlined technology center. Her mother's illness deteriorated, which ate up all of her funds. During the evenings, she was employed at Viridian Dynamics, the most cutthroat technology company in Chicago, cleaning offices. Elias Thorne, the chief executive officer, showed up for an unannounced check on a chilly Monday. A flurry of whispers. Born and raised wealthy. Prodigy of technology. After his partner stole his artificial intelligence business and abandoned him for dead, he managed to beat homelessness. As she worked on cleaning the marble flooring in the lobby, Maya kept her head down, till she was unable to continue wearing her pricey Oxford shoes. She glanced up, and then she became completely still. Those eyes, in particular, aged, more seasoned, yet unmistakably distinct. Although they had replaced their gaunt hunger with a fiery intensity, they nevertheless had the same vulnerability that she had seen 10 years before. "It's Maya, right?" Because of his years of experience and his might, his voice was deeper and more harsh. "You remember me?" she said in a low voice. Low. It was a slick titanium wallet that he opened. The sun and storm cloud drawing that she had laminated and had corners that were worn down was tucked away next to platinum cards. It was Elias who took her to Viridian's garden on the rooftop. As he looked down, the city sparkled. It was the same streets where he had previously gone hungry. During that evening, he said, "You did not ask me anything. There is no name and there is no narrative. You provided a guy who had lost sight of the existence of beauty with art, those sketches. I led it through rehabilitation and through the process of reconstructing everything. For me, it was a reminder that creating might heal." He gave her a tablet that displayed the blueprints for Project Phoenix, which is a groundbreaking artificial intelligence-based art therapy platform. He confessed, "I followed you for a number of years. I am aware of your female parent. It is your work, your dogged determination." His look became very gentle. A creative director who is able to comprehend both suffering and hope. During their tour inside Phoenix's core, Eris led Maya through an artificial intelligence system that turned physiological data, such as pulse rate and brain waves, into dynamic digital artscapes. The panic attack of a trauma victim may take the form of a collapsing castle, which the artificial intelligence would then gently encourage the individual to rebuild via the use of breath and attention. When Maya was examining a session in which a veteran's sadness created mathematically beautiful but soulless falling stars, she admitted, "But the AI's suggestions feel sterile. It's missing the human hand, the imperfection that says, 'I've been there too.'" In the doorway, Elias was able to overhear her providing feedback. "Then break it," he instructed in a low voice. "Your clearance level gives you the ability to modify the algorithms that determine the aesthetic. Create a mess of it. Allow it to be yours." As Maya was working late into the night to perfect a palette for Survivor's Guilt, she discovered encrypted records inside the heart of Phoenix University. Rather than being a form of corporate espionage, Elias' personal diary entries from his years spent living on the street have been digitized and concealed like digital ghosts. The pieces are raw and unvarnished. 17th day without a place to sleep. Made an effort to sell my watch. A pawn shop owner phoned the police. I ran. The rain may feel like nails. The light is not merely bursting through the clouds as Maya's drawing depicts. It is further dividing them. That hope is not a kind thing. It is a violent act. Indispensable. She realized that Elias had not only constructed a therapeutic instrument, it was his own redemption storyline that he had implanted. When Victoria Vance, a board member with ice blonde hair and aspirations to become CEO of Viridian, attacked Phoenix, the quarterly assessment of the company deteriorated into a poisonous situation. She spat out loud, "Sentimental nonsense. Our rivals are using artificial intelligence for market manipulation and predictive policing, which are both actual income sources. The capital is dripping off this art toy." Maya saw that Elias's knuckles darkened, but he maintained his composure. As soon as he was about to begin, Maya stood up. Maya responded, "With respect, Ms. Vance," as she projected a patient's session onto the wall. The patient at the time was a refugee girl who was using Phoenix to create a bomb explosion that was disintegrating into butterflies. This toy was responsible for a 72% reduction in her night terrors. There is a market for human misery, one in which your allegiance is not purchased but rather earned. She made a touch on her iPad, which displayed pre-orders from 5 of the most prominent hospital networks. Or do Viridian's profits matter more than its soul? There is no sound. Elias attempted to conceal a smirk. Vance was fuming. While driving Maya home that evening, Elias made a detour to a brick structure that was unremarkable and located in an area that had been restored. Upon entering, sunshine filled a loft room that smelled like turpentine and seemed to be full of possibilities. Stretched against the walls were canvases. A digital studio of the highest kind was operating in the corner. Elias said the words, "Your new studio," while using his fingers to dangle keys. "Rents covered by Viridian. As creative director, housing allowance." "But my apartment." After that, he continued his sentence by saying, "Is a 40-minute bus ride from your mother's clinic. It will take you 10 minutes to get here. In addition, there is a suite that is next to it for her live-in nurse." Maya's breath was taken away. Not only did he provide her with a studio, but he also provided her with time. Spending time with her mother, who was deteriorating. Now is the time to create. Maya discovered Elias later, looking at her old drawing of the broken sun, which was now framed in his penthouse. This was the kind of kindness that was returned to her in kind. Her question was, why? The studio, the nurse, it's too much. As he turned, his normally intense demeanor lessened. "You taught me a lesson that I had forgotten. Survival is a solo endeavor. There is no healing. You did more than simply provide nourishment for my body when you given me that drawing. You made me an offer to be a part of your vision of a more compassionate world. Which studio is this? I'm here to greet you and hold the door open for you. Have a look around, Maya. Produce and